The biggest mistake people make when moving to the Sacramento area is choosing the wrong place to live, the wrong suburb, community, or area. I mean, relocation coming into the area, it's can be difficult. You don't know a space and you think all Sacramento's the same. You don't realize that almost every community, every suburb is completely, utterly different. And so what you notice is that if you work with the wrong realtor or realtor estate team, you end up going into a location 2 or 3 years later, you end up moving because it really wasn't the right location for you. Education and figuring out the right suburb is vitally important when moving into Sacramento. I originally came in from the Bay Area, and one of the biggest things is just didn't realize how big Sacramento was. Roseville, Rocklin, Dorado Hills, West Sacramento. There's so many spots to live in, so many different lifestyles, school districts, routes to get from point A to B, Costco's, all that stuff too. It's just one of those things that you just need to know exactly where you're moving into in the Sacramento area. And if you don't do that education piece, and it could take you weeks, it could take you months, you could really be in danger of moving into a spot and then 3 years later having to move to another spot. And I know that doesn't sound like a huge deal to a lot of people, but we're talking about realtor fees. We're talking about moving fees. We're talking about moving into a spot where you think it's going to be your forever home and then realizing 3 years later that you picked the wrong suburb. So in this video, we're going to go over suburbs, areas, we're going to go over pros and cons and all that kind of fun stuff. This is the live show, so there's going to be a lot of audience participation. Let's get into the show right now and talk Sacramento suburbs, which ones to look at, which ones not to look at, the pros and cons, and all the ones you might have overlooked. We're going to get into it right now. All right, guys, hopefully you're having a good night. Xfinity's been doing major stuff, and Apple's been doing major stuff, so hopefully everything goes well. I can't guarantee it, but it'll be an interesting trip either way. All right, so we're going to talk suburbs. Now, for me, just getting into it, like I moved into Sacramento and I just thought Sacramento was just this one area and that was it, right? I didn't realize the way that Sacramento kind of runs is a little bit like, Folsom and everything too. Dorado Hills is a little bit different. Folsom is different. People kind of stay in their areas a lot. You won't go to downtown Sacramento much. I mean, Corey, let me ask you something. Oh, by the way, Corey McKinney, regular on the show. So Corey, okay, let me ask you something. Realistically speaking, if you did not do real estate, how often would you go to downtown Sacramento?
First of all, thanks for having me again. But I would probably go as frequently as I would for major events that are hosted down there. Like last night, my kids and I went to a Sacramento River Cats game, baseball game. It was one of the first games we went to at the Sutter Health Stadium, and we go there for things like that. And I don't know, probably maybe once a month here and there. But if that's outside of the real estate stuff, with real estate stuff, I'm probably down there, I don't know, once a week.
Okay.
So.
For me, I mean, if it wasn't for real estate, let's say I had like one of those telecommute or, Zoom jobs or whatever like this, I don't think I'd ever go downtown. I think maybe I'd go like now and again if for like, maybe, a new restaurant opened up or maybe like, Pops in the Park or something like that. But I don't think necessarily I would actually like go there for much. I think I would just kind of be, I just don't think it would be. And that's kind of goes to my point of like kind of what we're going to jump into. We're going to go over all these suburbs too. The idea that, a lot of these areas in Sacramento, you don't really need to go to downtown. Or if you're living Folsom, you probably aren't going to be going to Rocklin quite often, or you probably won't go to Elk Grove that often. I mean, you just kind of stay there because how it's divided up in the Sacramento area, we got like 12 Costco's or something. We've got, we don't really have that kind of like, I guess like in San Francisco, you got like North Beach, you got like these areas where if you want like, the best Italian food you got there, you've got good Italian food, good steakhouses kind of sprinkled all over the place. So for Folsom, there's some good steakhouses. There's some good like sushi places, Roseville too. So it's not like you're going to drive all the way to Roseville just for like maybe one spot. You have your spots close by, so that's kind of how Sacramento is broken up a little bit. For me, it was funny. I lived in San Francisco and there was always these taquerias in the Mission District that I absolutely loved. I had to go to for, my burritos and everything too. Here, not so much. You got Alberto's. It's pretty good. It's a chain all around Sacramento, and you can get the same kind of thing no matter where you live. So when you come to Sacramento, if you are someone who like, maybe you're like, Elk Grove's a spot for me. Will you be going to Folsom? Maybe now and again. It won't be just something that you're going to that often, right, Corey?
100%. Yeah. I mean, Now that you say that, I'm looking back. Do I go to Sacramento once a month? There's probably 4 to 5 month stints where I don't go there, for something that's
Yeah.
just social and not just work related. To actual downtown, very rare. If I get invited to it's mostly like professional sports games or concerts. But with young kids, I'm not going to a lot of those right now. So, um, yeah, it's kind of how it is. But I agree. I think everything that you have in each little section of Sacramento gives you everything you need to enjoy your life and your space there. And why drive halfway across the city to, unless you're going for a specific purpose, or my wife and I will kind of like batch things. If we need to go to Roseville, we try to knock out 5 or 6 things we need to do in Roseville. So it's worth our time instead of going over there for one errand.
Yeah.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, I think
that's kind of what we
for
do.
us, I mean, we're spoiled a little bit because we have these little areas. Like I live in Gold River. I got like a Bel Air. I got Arigato Sushi. I got El Forno. I got, all these spots that I can go to. If I want to, I can hit a back road and head up to Folsom to the outlets or go up there. So like, I like that. I don't like, especially with the family stuff, I don't really like hitting the freeways that much too. So for me, it's a nice way to go. But I mean, going back to this, I mean, for a lot of people, when they think about Sacramento, I mean, you guys have got to take that time to get educated on the area. I mean, the pocket is so much different than El Dorado Hills, Rocklin, East Sacramento. Then you got Elk Grove. Then you got Natomas. Then you got all these little spots. So for you guys who are out there thinking about moving to Sacramento, take your time to kind of explore the areas, right? And then we got all these like really amazing new home communities are sprouting up, like in West Roseville, Rancho, Rocklin. We got East Ridge Village opening up in El Dorado Hills. So we got all these new communities as well too. If you like the new homes, new parks, new schools, new fire departments, new police departments. But I mean, it really does take you a while to kind of understand that Sacramento is a whole bunch of different areas, right, Corey?
Yeah, I didn't know how many areas there were when I first moved here either, and I always just thought, oh, downtown, capital, maybe some suburbs around it, and that was it. Once when I moved here, it was eye opening as to how much was here, and how much I loved just kind of visiting all these different spots and seeing how much I loved coming back to my home spot. I think I've said this on the show before too, that once you pick that right spot, you want to be driving home from wherever you're at and being like, I love coming home. I love the drive to my house. I love the roads that we take, both different ways to get to my house. There's kind of two ways into my neighborhood. I love them both. I take a deep breath as I enter the neighborhood, and I'm like, I love it here. It's a good fit, and that's what I want for my clients that are moving to the Sacramento area, especially from out of town. I want them to have that feeling. And God, when I get a text or a call from them, 3, 4 months after, saying thank you so much, like really appreciate this, or I'm texting them, checking in, saying, hey, how's everything going? And I get that response from them that they're just absolutely in love with it, then that I'm very happy when that happens.
Oh yeah. I mean, the worst, and this sounds so bad for realtors to say, but like the worst call is like if you get a call of like 2-3 years down the road and someone's like, we're looking to sell and we want to move. You're like, is the house okay? The area is okay. I mean, the crazy part is for a lot of people who reload the area, I was researching it. It's like, a reload, your normal reload will stay in a spot maybe 3 to 6 years. And, I'm always stressing to people, getting the house, is going to be great. So many people are kind of focused in on the house, right? They're like, open concept. I want this. I want a backyard. But eventually you're leaving the house and you're kind of discovering the area. And like, whenever we talk to people, it's like always about, let's go see some houses, but let's go after we see the houses, go to the stores, go to the areas, go to Target, go to Costco, vibe out go drive through the school, see the area, see the people. Cause you see these areas are like old school, like your Fair Oaks, your Orangevale, and then you go up to some of the newer communities like Folsom Ranch. There's just a big variance of lifestyle, of energy with people and everything too. You just have to kind of feel out exactly, what area works for you. Are you a golfer? We got golf courses, communities around here too. Are you an equestrian? We have horse communities here too. We have everything. So if you dig further, if you dig and spend the time educating yourself of the area, you're going to make a good decision. And no one likes to move. No one likes the idea of packing it up, cleaning it. I mean, realtor fees and everything too. I mean, no one likes that. So if you do diligence, you figure it out, and you kind of just really, you know, stick to your guns and say, or maybe even in, you know, this is like taboo for realtors to say, maybe if you don't have the time, maybe rent for a little bit, right? Rent and get to know the area. Because for me, I think I would rather spend 6 months in a rental as opposed to jumping the gun, you know, finding a house, saying, oh my God, this is the house we've always dreamt of, buying the house. And then next thing you know, 6 months, a year later, you're like, wow, this other area that was like over there, I've met some people and I really like that area. And I think that area is going to work better for me. So now I got to pay my realtor 2.5. I got to pay the buyer's agent 2.5, and I got to pay all
Closing
these fees.
costs.
Oh yeah. And then I got a whole bunch of stuff in the garage. We already started buying stuff for the house. And so we got to deal with that stuff. So for me, I mean, I just think education in our area is so vital, you know? What do you think?
100%. Yeah. And I encourage a lot of my clients to rent before they buy, if they're moving and it fits for their lifestyle and all of that. Sometimes, you know, they're doing a relocation, they're selling their house, they want to jump into home ownership right away. I think it's easier for people who have owned a property before, owned a home before, to make that jump from buy to buy. People who are renting in, say, Los Angeles or San Francisco area, coming to this area, they have the affordability factor. They can afford a home here, but they're just not sure where. That's a lot tougher of a decision. And I tell them all the time, hey, that's what I did. But, you know, I bought the house that I ended up renting. I just stayed where I was. I didn't even change. So, you know, and that was from coming to the area from Los Angeles and visiting the area 4, 5, 6 times, driving around. We'd pick like 3 to 4 different cities to really kind of hang out in for a day or so and go explore, go to a lot of open houses if we can, go to the grocery stores, go out to lunch, go out to dinner, you know, see it at night. That's a big thing that I always encourage my clients to do, both in residential, but especially commercial real estate, because people come out at night. And I have a client who, you know, leased a killer office building, but at night, a lot of activity comes out at night in that downtown area where his office is, and that's just not a fit for him. And so we're quickly relocating him. And so now I'm telling all of my clients to do those things, do the due diligence, go there in the evening times, you know, drive by late, drive by early, see it in all the atmospheres that you can. Really helps your decision-making process.
I also think weather too here. I mean, you know, some people who've grown up in Sacramento, they're like, it's not that hot. You know, for some people coming in from the Bay, Seattle, Portland, some areas that are cooler, you know, I think that, you know, going out to see the weather cycles too. I mean, seeing how hot it gets. Is it really like hot, or is it doable? And, you know, a pool works and AC's fine and everything too. I think some of those things you definitely need to also kind of like take a look at and see for yourself as far as the weather patterns and cycles and all that stuff too. Because I think that's important. For me, I came in with Sacramento, black car, black interior, big mistake. As a realtor, hot steering wheels all the time. It was just not a fun thing to do. And I think weather pattern is another one you should check it out. I mean, I love our weather cycles now, but I kid you not, summer for me, being a little Bay Area boy coming here, it wasn't fun. You know, for me, warm was like 89 degrees, and now I'm out here in Sacramento, and I'm like sweating in my car and going like, what did I do? So I think also the weather, you need to kind of vibe out the weather. Also check out like development plans, like what is happening to areas, what areas are growing, what areas are developing, what are new things coming to your area. And a lot of people don't do that. They'll move into an area and they're like, you know, let's go. Let's, you know, I'm in here, but they didn't realize that maybe a new Costco would be opening up, maybe a new school here and everything. So I think some of those things are really, really vital as well. All right, we got Pamela with the question. I got the glasses on too. I'm trying to avoid these for today, but they just keep calling my name. It seems like the pocket area has everything I need in an area. However, I think there's a hospital. However, I don't think there's a hospital nearby that is important in case of emergency. Where's the closest one? Oof. Here's the thing about the pocket, and Corey will back me on this one. Is like pocket's pretty close to downtown, as far as like maybe a 15-minute drive. You're like, I think there's what's called UC Davis Medical Center over there. I know Shriners is over there as well too. I think there's even a Sutter. So I think, and if you go on the other direction, you're in Elk Grove where you got Dignity and everything. So I think I'm guessing probably around a 15-minute drive to some good. And one of the only trauma centers in the Sacramento area is at UC Davis at downtown. So that's pretty close by as well. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. UC Davis is going to be the best one, and that's going to be close, and you'll be able to get there through the freeway or from side streets, I believe, from the pocket area once you kind of cross over. Yeah, I would say that's as close as most suburban areas are to hospitals there. So I wouldn't be concerned. You're not in a major, area. You're not in an area that's super far away from that. And like Mark said, if that is the known, well-regarded trauma center there. So even if you go to a smaller hospital or if it's in a major emergency, they may send you to UC Davis anyway.
All right, we got another one. What new builder is offering the biggest lots in Granite Bay, the Rocklin area? I would say Granite Bay, you're not going to find builders who are offering big lots except maybe Magnolia, who has a few homes left, but we're talking $2.4, $2.2 million homes. Those are the ones in Granite Bay specifically. I would say if you're looking in Rockland, Anthem is going to probably give you like decent sized backyards. Like you can put a pool in there. They got some funky walls back there. Some of them do with the leveling. I'd say Rockland, if you're looking for, JMC's got Tribute, which is decent. But I would say if you're looking at Rockland and you're looking for houses with the biggest backyards currently, probably Toll Brothers Vista Oaks is going to give you those, but I think to get into Toll Brothers, the single story, you're looking at 1.2, and then the 2-story, you're probably looking around 1.5, 1.6, but they also have a lot of seller credits and seller financing. So those would be probably it. Anthem, the HOA or the Melrose tends to be a little higher, and you have the HOA as well because it is part of Whitney Ranch. Toll Brothers, you don't. JMC, you got Melrose as well over there too. Not as high as Anthem. And then you have the HOA too. And it depends on your lifestyle, what you really like. I like the Anthem product. I think it's nice. I think the JMC product's pretty good as well too. I think the Toll Brothers community in Rocklin and we'll talk a little about Rocklin while we're here. If you look at Whitney Ranch, that's what I would classify as Rocklin 65, which is a little bit further out there for people, right? A lot of people are like, oh man, I need to go to downtown. And Rocklin on the 65 Whitney Ranch, even to get to the freeway from Whitney Ranch to the 65, you're talking about maybe like 10 minutes, 10, 12 minutes to get down there sometimes for the traffic. Really nice area though, schools and everything too. Everyone loves that area. My buddy Jacqueline is out there and she's in her golf cart showing houses. Now, Toll Brothers Vista Oaks, I would classify that more as like your 80 Roseville, East Roseville-ish kind of community where you're right. I mean, you're like a stone's throw from Roseville, and that's a different vibe completely. I would say if you go to both of those spots, you're going to see the difference. 65 Rocklin is a lot different than 80 Rocklin. Don't you think, Corey?
Very much different. Yeah. And 65 can get backed up so bad at times, at commuting times. I mean, I think it's just a daily occurrence at this point. But yeah, they definitely have different feels too, the neighborhoods. So I would see those in person before you make a major decision. Isn't there another, I'm struggling on the name and I was trying to find it over here. Isn't there another Granite Bay new home development that's right off Douglas? Like just before Barton Road. I know there's a new home development over there.
You have what's called, you have, I think you have what's called, you have Premier Homes was out there. New Home Company was out there. Blue Mountain was out there.
Yeah.
But I think Magnolia was the one that was actually offering the lot size that was decent. I think a lot of the other other builders weren't offering like the big backyards. Granite Bay, it's hard. And here's the thing, guys. In all fairness to Granite Bay, the price per square foot is so crazy in Granite Bay for the Sacramento area that when you see people build in the Granite Bay area, unless you're going custom, you don't really see those big backyards. You see it just more for like, it's just kind of like people are just trying to get in there. And so, if you see something with a big backyard in Granite Bay, brand new, it's going to be probably, my guess, over like 1.7, 1.8, if you're lucky. Right. Granite Bay is a hard nut to crack for a lot of people. A lot of people love it. The location for me is really, really nice because it kind of has access to the 80, access to the 50. You're kind of close to the shopping, but you're kind of private as well too. For me, the location is great as a realtor. But Granite Bay is pretty nice altogether. What would you say? Would you say Granite Bay? I mean, Granite Bay right now has the highest price per square foot. I would say Granite Bay has some of the more like, exclusive, I guess you can call them, kind of communities where, you need like, one of those like body scanners to get in, like Los Lagos. I mean, they're pretty, like, I would say those are like where I would say if you're looking for that MTV crib house, if you're looking for that U-shaped driveway, you want the gate, you want that old school Mediterranean kind of like nice house with the columns and everything too. That's probably the Granite Bay kind of area. Some of the communities like Shelbourne, Los Lagos, Eden Rock. What do you think?
Yeah, if you want something really prestigious, those neighborhoods are going to be incredible. I think for majority of home buyers, unless you're in that kind of prestigious luxury buyer category, then yes, I would take a look at those. But if you're not, if you're looking more for a typical home, we're in California here. Even a typical home is into that million plus range. I think your dollar just stretches so much farther looking into the adjacent areas. And once you get used to driving through Granite Bay to Roseville to Rocklin, all the way, down Auburn, Folsom, which Granite Bay connects to Folsom too. If you're just driving through like with a guest that doesn't know the area, they wouldn't be able to definitively tell you, hey, now we're in some prestigious area, or now we're in Folsom, or now we're in Roseville, or now we're in Rocklin. It all feels very, very similar. It's just when you have Granite Bay in your address, that price per square foot or that price overall just skyrockets. So I encourage my clients who come to me and say, we want to be in Granite Bay or we want to be in El Dorado Hills. I always encourage them, like, look at the city adjacent, look at the Rocklin, look at the Cameron Park, look at the Folsom, but keep the same price range. But once you go and tour and see them in person, that whole feeling kind of changes, and the desire to have that in the address, it fades away pretty quickly once you see what you get for the dollar. So not to say anything bad about Granite Bay. I think there's some amazing, beautiful homes, like you said, MTV cribs. I mean, Los Lagos there. I mean, Eddie Murphy had a house there. I just toured a rapper's house that was in Los Lagos. It was actually a total fixer. Sage the Gemini. So
Oh, really?
it was a very interesting thing. Yeah, Sage the Gemini. He had a home for sale that was there, and I mean, beautiful, beautiful homes. But if you take that same budget to a different city, you can get so much more, or you can get the pool, or you can get that big backyard, or you can get the 4-car garage versus the 2, so it's worth comparing.
Yeah, I mean, in Granite Bay also, guys, for you guys, just so you know, like they build bigger. Like it's hard to find like I want like an 1,800 or maybe 2,400 square foot homes. I mean, some of these houses go past 10,000 square feet. I mean, these are where you see the estate homes and everything too, and it runs into Loomis as well too. But Granite Bay is kind of that spot, and then but you got to deal with the maintenance of the backyard, the landscaping. So I mean, it is a whole like thing, right? you know, a lot of these houses, $800 a month for landscaping alone. You got the HOA fee and everything too. So there is a little bit of maintenance. And if you're closer to Folsom Lake, home insurance can be a little bit of a bear as well. But the thing that people, you know, other than the area and being prestigious, the thing about Granite Bay is if you are like, let's say you're saying, man, I'm going to spend about $2 million on a house, and I need an area that is historically shown appreciation, an area where if like I do spend that money, that like, you know, maybe in a year, 2 years, 10 years down the road, it could be a good, as far as you could tell, because real estate is up and down, but like it could be someplace that like retains its value and holds its value, and actually you can make money on it. Granite Bay historically has always been that kind of spot where if you are going to spend that, you know, a lot of people have actually like bought there maybe back in the day for like 1 million, and now they're selling their homes for like 2.4. So a lot of people say, you know what, that's an area where I feel a little bit more protected if I'm going to spend that much money. Why? Because it's known kind of in the Sacramento area that if you're trying to get into Granite Bay and you want a house, like a nice big house there, I mean, 1.7, 1.8, you're lucky if you get something, you know? And so with that alone, you know, if you list your house for like 2.4, it's not like oh my God, 2.4, there's no way anyone's going to buy it. 2.4 in Granite Bay, another day at the office, you know, and that for resale gives a little bit of security where if you say, you know, we're going to buy this for a house for $2 million, we're going to be putting in maybe $300,000 in it, restore it a little bit, get it good going. Are we going to get our money back from it? And then your neighbor's house is worth $6 million. Over there, it's worth $7 million. You're like, okay, we're in kind of an area where it does make sense, as opposed to some of these areas and communities and suburbs that we'll go over where like you're kind of at the tippy top. So if you put in 200,000 or 300,000, it might make sense actually to go somewhere where you're more like the entry level, and you can do that, and you have a little bit more of a cap as far as what you can spend. Because the last thing you want to do is, you know, go with those amazing countertops. You get the pool, you got everything. You spent all this money on your house, and you put like $500,000 into your house, and your neighbor's house is worth like $750,000, and your other neighbor's house is worth $850,000. And based on everything you put into the house, you're riding around 1.2. I mean, the math isn't there. You know what I mean, Corey?
Oh yeah, 100%. And then you go to sell, and it's, you know, it's hard to comp, it's hard to appraise it, it's hard to. I've had some clients in that position, and I've seen many houses in that category where it's you know, there's that long standing saying that you want the cruddiest house in the nicest neighborhood. That's kind of the mentality you kind of go into when buying
Yeah.
real estate. You can always make improvements to that house and upgrade it. It gives you a lot of room to upgrade it, and you get a lot of return on your investment. But man, if you buy the shining star, the most beautiful house on the block, the best house in the neighborhood, you are the top. You are the leader. You're never going to get that bang for buck. But at the same time, hey, if you love the house, you want it, then by all means go for it. I would just be cautious about how much you tend to put into that and what your expectation is on getting it out. I have clients that will buy a $800,000 house and put $300,000 into it, knowing that they're going to live there for the next 25 years. There's nothing, you know, the kids are grown and gone. They love this house. Their whole life is here. And that $300,000 now, it doesn't matter what they're going to get for it in 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, because they're going to be there for the long term. That can make sense and still pencil out well that those upgrades will still pay you some dividends, you know, 10, 20 years down the road. You just have to make sure you're calculating it all appropriately.
Ah, the myth of the forever home. You know,
Yeah.
I was showcasing that house to a client of ours too, and I was telling him, I'm like, man, whoever, you know, because they listed the house and probably, you know, they're hurting. They're saying, wow, they put so many finishes, upgrades into this house. I mean, they listed it for like, you know, just a little over $500,000. But I was looking at the house, everything they did, and they easily put like $150,000, $200,000 extra into that house. And I'm looking at it going like, it must just hurt. And they're moving for like to get a bigger garage space. And I was like, yeah, this house, honestly, this is one of those things where I'm sure they were doing all those things thinking we are never moving out of this house. We're never leaving this house. you know, they get a kid who like has to drive, you need another garage space, and you're like, oh no, we've got to move. And you're kind of in that situation. So I would say just make sure that the plan is in place for the 20 years. I mean, I've seen more people bail on that plan as opposed to actually like follow through, you know what I mean? And do that. Like I'm living here forever. So just be careful, you know, and just know where you're capping out at. And for me, again, like I'm very, very cognizant of that where I live in Gold River. And so, you know, I'm not going to be putting up the gold chandeliers anytime soon, or, you know, import the tile from Italy to put down and everything too. Being smart about the price point, because I also don't want to have that one house that everyone's like, you're never going to get that on the market. So, and you know, there's a lot of houses in Gold River that are kind of like that. Okay. But let's hit, like Granite Bay. So, to cap off Granite Bay as a suburb, as an area, Granite Bay is everyone loves Granite Bay. Majority of people in Sacramento were like, oh, one day I'm going to get into Granite Bay. Granite Bay is that spot. I always say this and people laugh, and please don't. It's been a long day. Granite Bay is kind of like the Beverly Hills of the Sacramento area. That's how people look at it, right? It's Granite Bay is like, ooh, wow, you live in Granite Bay. Price per square foot is the highest in the area. You get these big, huge kind of mansion houses. You get your privacy, exclusivity. Some are on the golf course, Wexford and everything too. Really, really kind of a beautiful area. But it's hard to get into. Listings go really, really fast if priced really, really well. As far as appreciation, it's held very, very, Granite Bay isn't one of those spots where you're like, oh man, houses dropped like 20%. We can jump in. It's always somewhat been a hard nut to crack. Wouldn't you say that, Corey?
Yeah, 100%. The cheapest houses that I see in Granite Bay are the homes that back up against Douglas.
Yes.
Douglas is a busier road. I've seen homes that back up against Douglas going for 750 to 900,000. And if I've toured those with clients and I've had them say, I don't care. I'll deal with the traffic noise. I don't even go in my backyard. You know, it's quiet in the house. I want the Granite Bay address. Boom, that's worth it. So you can, you know, technically get into that area, but you know, is it going to be the home that you want? Maybe, maybe not. It all depends on what your priorities are. But no, I would absolutely agree with that. It's definitely a prestigious neighborhood, but yeah, I'm so firm on the fact that I had a client, you know, they had a high budget, 3 million and below. And we toured homes in Granite Bay. We toured in El Dorado Hills. We looked in, they wanted to be more on the El Dorado Hills, El Dorado County, Highway 50 corridor side. And the amount that you could get in the Granite Bay area for what you could get in El Dorado Hills or Shingle Springs, gosh, I mean, in that budget range in El Dorado Hills or Shingle Springs, you're getting the huge outdoor pool, or you're getting 10, 20, 30 acres. You're getting the barn. You're getting, you know, all kinds of crazy amenities, where Granite Bay, it's just a large, luxurious house, but that's kind of it. Maybe, you know, probably have the pool and stuff too, but it doesn't feel like that extreme wow factor in that budget range. So nothing against it. It's just, like you said, it's just that high value area. And I think it'll continue going that direction, just based on how it's gone.
All right. I like it. I think it is for people who probably come into this area too and are like, you know, I want a private exclusive area. I'm looking for a big house. You know, hey, if I'm leaving the OC or if I'm leaving San Francisco, you know, I want that house that I always dreamt of. A lot of people start at Granite Bay. They also go to like the Serrano and everything too. A lot of people also go to Loomis, and we'll talk about Loomis in a second. All right, so we got East Roseville. Rocklin is greater than West Roseville. Rocklin. It's just, how can I say it? It's also price point though. East Roseville almost as spendy as Granite Bay, you know, and that Rocklin on the 80, it's the same thing. It's just, so it's like West Roseville is just more like affordable, bang for your buck goes further. And the 65, like Rocklin, it's just a little bit more affordable. So if you really like Rocklin and you can't jump into $1 million home, you know, you just gotta, that's where you go. You know, you still got Rocklin, you still got West Roseville. And I do think that, you know, a lot of people, Granite Bay just started out as like a subsection of kind of Loomis. You got Folsom, you got Roseville that started too, and then they turned into what they turned into. I think the West Roseville area, with the Placer One, the college being built out there, the surf park, I think that there's probably going to be a lot of people smiling from year to year at the very end of the, however long that takes, and saying like, we're the first people to move in here, and like, man, it was a great spot. As long as we can get our infrastructure in place too. But, like what Corey said, there's a lot of spots where you can get a good bang for your buck. It's just also the idea of waiting. Some people, like West Roseville is being built up. It's got Costco and everything too. But as, Moses said, just moved to West Park, renting, quickly found out it's too far from everything. I'm liking the Rocklin East Roseville area so far for quick access to shopping and lifestyle. Again, that's the thing that's tricky for a lot of people too. Roseville. Okay, you like Roseville. Do you like West Roseville or do you like East Roseville and Central Roseville? Because they are not the same city. I don't care what anyone says.
They're so different now.
It is completely and utterly different. And I think that for relos coming into the area, they're like, this is, I heard Roseville's great. Which Roseville are we talking about here? Are we talking East Roseville, where it's hard to even get in there for like under 850 or maybe 900? Or are we talking about West Roseville, where we can get you some great deals on new homes, and you're good to go? Like, so just be careful, guys, when you're in Roseville. It's just different. Now, both areas have their value. Both areas are for, I see pros and cons in both areas, right? The idea of getting a brand new home, open floor plan, great incentives. Some of these builders are building houses with nice big backyards, a new, upcoming, fresh, clean, everything. Everything is new out there. It's just crazy new, and then you got East Roseville, you got well-established, been there. You got the trees growing. You got no real Mellorews out there. You got no HOAs in a lot of the communities as well too. So it's just for different types of what you're looking for, right? And that's where Sacramento really is interesting, because it's just different. I mean, think about this. If Roseville is that different and it's Roseville, think about how different like Serrano is, or East, or, El Dorado Hills is, Rocklin is. I mean, if that's Roseville,
this is where we need your fist icon on that one. That was a point. That was a great point.
Throw it out there. Boom.
There it is. That's what I'm let's smash the like button. That is such a good point. I couldn't agree with you more.
Oh yeah. So it is crazy. All right, we have Mosey. I also found out that I need to spend about 1 mile. I needed to spend about 1 million to get pretty much anything I want. Haha. I got some work. I got some work to only pre-approved for 800 so far. Yeah, and that's the hardest part too. It's like, you say, kind of want to be close to everything. Can you get into Granite Bay? But then, or East Roseville, because I always link up East Roseville to Granite Bay because they are somewhat close to the same price point. In fact, this is how confusing it gets. Sometimes they'll advertise that the house is in Granite Bay, but on the map when you're driving there, it's going to say Roseville. It's just really, really kind of confusing over there too. Okay, so let's talk about this. If you're in West Roseville and you're saying to yourself, you know what? Even though West Roseville is great, surf park coming and everything too, I kind of want to be closer to the shopping. I kind of want to be closer to everything. How do you get into East Roseville? What would be your plan of attack? East Roseville, Granite Bay for 800. What would you do if that was super like, this is what I want to do? What would you do, Corey?
I would. So you like talking about Moises. I hope I'm pronouncing that right. Correct. His situation here, you're pre-approved for 800 right now. How long do you think it will take you to work up to a $1 million pre-approval? If you were my client, I would have a sit-down meeting with you and talk about how much do you pay a year in rent? And imagine if you were putting that money into your pocket now through equity in a home that maybe doesn't have every single checkbox that you want. Or is it something that it doesn't matter to you? You want to, when you move into that home, you want it to have all of those checkboxes. That's totally fine. But at the same time, using the home that has everything you want as the move up home instead of and I don't know if this is the first home that you're purchasing or if you've owned properties in the past, but instead of the goal home, why don't we look at buying a home that's going to appreciate maybe it's a little more of a project that you can do some of those upgrades over the next 2, 3, 4 years as you're building up to that 1 million. And then when you go to sell, at least you're recapturing all of that equity instead of just giving it to your landlord. That's going into your landlord's pocket as his equity. And I would take a really hard look at that to see how much money I'm spending on rent per year. What is the lifestyle change that I'm going to get and tax benefits I'm going to get by owning a home, the upgrades I can do to put more money in my pocket, renting out rooms. Everybody's situation's different. If I was starting over and I was a bachelor, no kids, and living on my own, and was able to purchase a home, I would buy the most affordable home I could that had as much square footage and many bedrooms as possible, and rent out every single one of those rooms. I'd rent out the garage. I'd park around the corner and walk to my house every day. I'd
Oh yeah.
maximize that so that I could just build in as much equity as I can, to go by leveraging the equity in California is an extremely smart play. So I would advise you to take a hard look at that, instead of just working on saving, getting a better job, earning more money, side hustles, things like that. Sometimes just buying that property is going to be your ticket to that $1 million property faster. Um,
Yeah. I like
I
it.
don't know
I
if I
like it.
answered your question on
No,
that.
no,
I
no.
kind of
I
answered
think I
his,
think
but
that's spot on. I mean, to get into a place, I mean, getting something maybe with an in-law suite or something like that. I mean, if it's possible. The other thing too, and I'll give you really an area where you might want to look at, and I think for your budget is definitely doable and it'll get you close to everything. Old Roseville. Old Roseville tends to be overlooked at
yes.
times, but Old Roseville, you're not too far from everything, and the price point there, you can get something really, really nice for like probably the 800 you're pre-approved for. Old Roseville is really, really underrated as far as if you look at it on a map, as far as like, where everything is, you're still just like 5 minutes from everything. I mean, you're still super close. It's an area that time forgot, but it's an area in Roseville that as everything develops in Sacramento, it's going to be an area that's going to appreciate like crazy. Like Old Roseville is that spot that I would say that if it was me and I was looking for that price point, I want to be close to everything, and I didn't want to be so far like West Roseville. That's where I'd be looking. That would be me.
For sure.
All right, we got the next one. This one you start up with. Debating between North Natomas and Elk Grove. North Natomas is close to downtown, and my dollar goes further. Elk Grove has great schools, no kids, so it doesn't matter. How about resale in 20 years? What do you think, Corey?
I think Elk Grove will outpace North Natomas, overall. I know there's a lot of the factor for North Natomas is there's so many new things going in that are close by. On that northern edge of downtown. We got the rail yards project going on. We got all kinds of new things going in there, and West Roseville's changing pretty rapidly too. So I don't think you can really go wrong, especially on a 20-year scale. I don't think you can really go wrong in any well-regarded suburban area in Sacramento. I think in 20 years, it's such a long term that you're going to definitely have that appreciation no matter what. If you're looking to maximize the appreciation, I would probably look a little closer to that Elk Grove area if you can, or Vineyard. Vineyard's a cool little undercover spot that's like really close by. Um, but yeah, North Natomas, um, I would say is closely behind that. For a 20-year scale, I don't think you can really go wrong. I would just look in both, shop in both, and then when you see the house that you love, I tell my clients all the time. We're going out, we're looking at 5, 6, 7 properties, and they're like, I really like it, but is it the one? I don't know. After we look at 6, 7 properties, not always that amount, but when they see the one they want, man, they feel it like right here, like that core in their chest. They're like, wow, this is the property for me. I'm already envisioning where I'm going to put my couch, where you know my dog's going to stay, where my bed's going to be, where my TV's going to be hung. Like you're going home dreaming of, like, salivating for that home. And so I would shop for both, find the one that matches up with your situation, your financial situation. And if you truly are going to stay there for 20 years, or even 5, 7, 10 years, I don't really think you can go wrong between the two. I would pick the house that's a better fit for you, over just purely neighborhood. But what do you think?
I don't know. I mean, Elk Grove's a juggernaut. I mean, Elk Grove just is like on fire 24/7. I'd say this straight up. This is the funniest thing in the world, at least the experience I had. I wouldn't necessarily go with an Elk Grove realtor. Elk Grove realtors, for some reason, don't really know Natomas that well. I don't really get it. They're kind of like the same kind of thing, but they just don't know those areas that well. So I would say that just my own warning for that. But I would say Elk Grove is a juggernaut. I think Elk Grove also, you got the 3 different zip codes, 757, 758, and 624, which are all completely different zip codes as well too. 757's got the highest Mellorews, all the new home buildings happening there. There's some building in the 758, but not much. 624 is a little older. You can get a little country, Sheldon Estates. Natomas, if you're someone who maybe needs to commute to downtown, or like downtown's your jam, you like the restaurants, you like that downtown living, I like Natomas. I think Natomas is good. I think, though, if it was me and this was my situation and I was saying to myself, okay, I'm looking for the long play, I might just, suck it up, get myself a 3 and 2 in Elk Grove, probably put a little sweat equity into it. And then maybe after 3 or 4 years, turn that sucker into my first rental, and then use that income to qualify for a property. I don't know, maybe in Elk Grove, maybe I fall in love with it, or maybe I go to Natomas. I think Elk Grove's rental market's super strong. It always has been. Even though rental rates are a little bit lower, but, just it's the market. I would also say that like Elk Grove's appreciation is just monster right now. Although I will say this about Elk Grove, and this is the funny thing is, I think in Elk Grove, there is a price point that Elk Grove has always been on fire with. I think maybe like between 550 and like 700-ish. Like Elk Grove, that's the sweet spot for Elk Grove. Like if you get in there and you get something nice in there too, like I've just seen people get great appreciation with it. But you've got to really, really know the difference between zip codes, Mellorews. You got definitely, also schools are big in Elk Grove too. And we're not going to go into good, bad, or indifferent, but get educated about the schools, because that's something that I've seen are deal breakers. And there's some people straight up who will call up and say, I want the 757. That's all I want. I do not want the 758. I don't want 624. Some people for the other zip codes. But so Elk Grove is its own kind of beast, I'd say, at that point. But if it was me, it's hard. And I'm looking in that sweet spot price point. Elk Grove, I don't know necessarily if you're going to get the house of your dreams, right? I think the money that you spend in Elk Grove to get maybe a 3 and 2, you probably get yourself maybe a 2.5 bedroom home in North Natomas that is like nice backyard and everything too. So I think it depends what you're looking for in that property. I guess that's what I'm saying. And also your spend, right? If you're saying to me, oh, I got $1 million, where do I put my money? Even though it's not the sweet spot in my opinion for Elk Grove, I still think that Taylor Morrison, Beezer can get you a nice house out there too. The other thing, I know I'm rambling on, but Elk Grove's an interesting one. Elk Grove, the thing about Elk Grove is that the incentives at new homes in Natomas are way better than in Elk Grove. Elk Grove, you don't really get that great of incentives because they realize how hot the market is. And so for new homes, if you're saying, oh, I want a new home, I'm thinking Natomas or I'm thinking Elk Grove, like go over to Meritage and Natomas. You'll get a smoking deal. Lennar's out there, I know, but you'll get those deals where in Elk Grove, they already know that they're the new kid in school, and you're not going to get the incentives you're getting in other spots. Like Corey mentioned, like Vineyard, Rancho, Natomas, you're not going to get those incentives. You're not going to get those crazy buy downs. Elk Grove's like, we know we're in demand. We know we're pretty hot right now, and we'll give you what we can, but you're lucky if you get a house. So that's kind of what you're jumping into. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, it's like, the popular girl or guy in high school. Everybody's chasing after them. They all want, to try to get to know them or be friends with them or go out with them, and they end up being the prom queen or prom king. That Elk Grove's kind of always been that shining star for that area of Sacramento, a little more southern area below downtown. And yeah, I would, if you find that, I would shop both. If it was me personally, I say go shop them both. And when you feel that gut feeling of, oh, this just feels right, everything's lining up here, that may end up, I would shop around that too. Maybe check out Pocket. Pocket might not be as might not have as much lifestyle and shops and everything as Elk Grove or North Natomas. So that might not be a good fit. But if I would look through that whole corridor if possible.
Let's
from
do
Elk
this
Grove
just
to
for
North
Pamela.
Potomac.
Let's talk about a little bit about the pocket. Okay, so we didn't focus too much on there, but Pamela mentioned that she says it seems like it fits the bill for everything. The pocket's an interesting one, right? I mean, I would say that it's always been in demand. I think now, though, what we're seeing is that because of low inventory, it seems to be even more in demand, right? The pocket is a nice area. You're going to feel in a pocket. You're going to really feel kind of like just secluded, private. It's, by the water as well too. Jacob, Garcia's Ben's over there. It's a nice kind of like little kind of like, I don't know, closed off community, I guess you could say. It's a beautiful area. You can find like newer custom homes there. Some of them, like you can find older 70s, 60s built homes as well too. The pocket's, it's a cute area. The only thing I will say, the only negative I've seen about the pocket, and we're not going to dive into it, I don't get, but some people will hit like your Folsoms, your Rocklins and everything too, because all the schools tend to be newer. Sacramento is notorious for building new communities, and all the new communities have these amazing brand new schools. And that seems to attract a lot of people. And some people when we showed the pocket, they're like, we love the area. That's great. We love it. It's awesome. And they see that the school, that services the pocket area was built. It isn't like as brand new and shiny as like your Folsom and Rocklin schools. And that would probably be one of the things that I would say a lot of people might not appreciate, and you see that still also with like East Sacramento. You see that with like Land Park
Right.
and everything too. And again, we're not going to get into schools, but majority of people who live in Land Park, who live in East Sacramento, and a lot of people who live in the pocket will send their kids to private. And that's just something to just consider and just something to look into. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge. But it is something, that I would say that if you are spending a certain amount of money there, that could be something that you need to educate yourself on and figure out. Don't you think, Corey?
Yeah, absolutely. And if I was just thinking about as you're saying that, if I was a true buyer in that location, I'd take a hard look at West Sacramento. There's some great bang for buck deals right there, and I mean, you're almost like one freeway exit past where you would get off to go to Pocket. You just go one more freeway exit up. There's a little less traffic over there. It's a little less congestion. I think you'll see a little bit, maybe not as much of appreciation, but I think it'll be just behind it, and I think you'll have a little bit more inventory. It might just open up that inventory window to you. It is a different county. I don't know exactly if the taxes and things like that are better than Sacramento County. That's something I would be curious to look into. But I'd go look at houses there. I'd go consider that if you're liking that area or if you see your life happening there. I'd go consider West Sacramento as well.
I think you got the Delta Breezes. I think the entire Toll Brothers is going to be building a community out there as well too. And Toll Brothers is very, very, very savvy where they build their communities. I like West Sacramento too. I think with all the plans that are happening, the rail yards downtown and everything too, you got the stadium there. I mean, it's just one of those areas where you look at and you're like, I kind of should have exploded already. But you look at it in Jefferson, a lot of people drive down Jefferson. They're like, there's a nugget. I get it, but I'm just not feeling it. But again, I mean, those are the early adopters are the ones who really like cash in, the ones who are like, hey, I bought an acre out there, kind of close to the water, yacht club ish. And, I'm going to eventually build my house out there. And, 5 years later, all of a sudden the roadways are easier to get to downtown Sacramento. The rail yards project is up and running, and all of a sudden you have builders like Toll Brothers, builders like Tim Lewis, and everyone's building in West Sacramento. And next thing you know, it's a thing. And you're like, whoa, okay. Now I can build my custom home out here because all of a sudden this is maybe the next Folsom. You just never know. And West Sacramento, the location is awesome, especially for all the people who are like thinking to themselves, you know what? I work at UC Davis and I just need to commute and I want to be close, but I want a little distance. I mean, West Sacramento is great. Even if you have to go to Davis, it's still a quick shot out. So, yeah. I mean, West Sacramento's location is so nice. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And you know what? I think that idea that you just touched on applies to West Roseville. I think, and Moises talked on this on his comment of saying it's just so far from everything. And that is just kind of the nature of when they're building new home communities so densely in an expanding area, you commercial the county won't approve commercial buildings, plazas, shopping centers, malls, all of that stuff until they have a certain number of occupied residential roofs. That's why you always see new homes go first. Same with Folsom Ranch, same exact thing. So you're going to see, if you want to be the early adopter and are willing to do the commuting side a little bit more for these, first couple years, 5, 7 years, as that stuff gets built out, you'll look back, 10, 15 years later, or however long it is, and see that, oh, I was the early adopter. We didn't have the gas station, grocery store around the corner at that time. We had to go drive to East Roseville to get anything we wanted. But now it's all right here. It's all right in our backyard. And so that's some of that sacrifice that you make by getting into some of those newer builds early on. But it does come full circle. It just takes time. And that, some people are willing to keep up with that or deal with that, I should say. And some people are like, it's just not a fit for me. I'd rather have that lifestyle now. So,
oh yeah. For me though, West Sacramento, I mean, you're super close to the water. I mean, that's a huge selling point. The idea, like, if you guys have ever been to the West Sacramento Yacht Club, it's really, really fun out there as well too. But like, you're close to water. If you look at Sacramento and you look at areas like your Rocklins, your, El Dorado Hills, all this stuff too, you can see the Folsom Lake and everything too. But this is actually like, you have areas like the Pocket right on the water, pretty much, right there. You have area like West Sacramento, you get the Delta breezes and you have water, which kind of, you have a house that's right next to water. It's for me, I mean, I'm a big fan of that. I mean, that's something that a lot of places in Sacramento don't have. Not man-made lakes. We're talking like, water. And that's pretty cool. All right. We got Jason who says Sieno Avenue is one random cheap street in Granite Bay just to get in the zip code. Smiling.
There you go. Right. That's a little hack from Jason. Good point.
Jason, Mr. Instagram. They just redid all the school boundaries for Roseville. I saw the East Roseville schools are now going to get all the antelope bust in. So I guess opportunity to buy an antelope and good. Yeah. And that's the craziest part about everything, especially in the West Roseville area, especially in Roseville in just general, like the lines are changing. That's where it gets interesting. Antelope, West Roseville and everything too. Everything is growing. There's going to be additional schools being built and everything too, which is interesting for a lot of people because you jump into West Roseville. Let's just take West Roseville and we'll take antelope. We'll throw antelope in there as well too. A lot of times you go into a new home and it's either Center or it's or Roseville City. There's one other, but it's late in the day. So we'll just say those two. And, a lot of people make their decisions based on that. A lot of people maybe should be thinking about if the lines change, how that's going to affect their property prices as well too, because the variance is 50, 60, sometimes even $100,000 based on school districts. So yeah, the lines are changing. Things are happening. Folsom, it's going to be the same way as well too. We got all these new schools coming up, all these people that want their kids to get certain schools, and yeah, the lines are changing. So yeah, Video Guy Matt, you're right on. It's going to be very 100%. Interesting. There's going to be some people that are very, very happy, and there's going to be some people that are very, very annoyed.
Lot of angry people.
Lot of angry people.
I have some clients in that West Park area of West Roseville, and God, they bought it for the schools, and then 3 years later it changed, and they're like, if I move 4 houses down, I stay in the school district that I want. But I have the big model, and it's impossible to get that big model, and now they're super upset. I would say cities that make those changes, I don't know, this might just be my own opinion on this, but cities that don't make those changes and kind of stay hard against their boundary lines tend to stay that way. Cities that kind of make some changes here and there seem more adept to make changes in the future, especially a growing city. So keep that in mind, I guess, as you're looking at these things and basing it off things like school district boundaries.
Yeah, I mean, it's just crazy. I mean, it's just crazy for a lot of people who are dealing with that. But just be careful, guys. And also, working with the right realtor who knows all these areas and all this stuff coming up is super vital. Some people don't get it, and it just is. Okay, so we got Pamela again. Hopefully, Pamela enjoyed that little pocket pocket tour we did for you. Which area tends to draw more retirees? I'm curious, since you have retirees in fixed income, downsizing, or buying their dream home. Oof. I would say Lincoln's a big one. The Del Webb and those communities tended to be really, really like draws. I'd say Sun City, Roseville, and in Lincoln. Those are big ones. Those are really, really big ones. For a while, they would draw people in. But now what I'm seeing specifically is the fact that active plus 55 communities are big business here in Sacramento. I mean, there's at least 3 that just opened up. There's ones in Rancho, in Folsom, in El Dorado Hills, in Natomas. I mean, they're everywhere. So they really are capturing that market because they do realize a lot of people are sitting in these, like, they're like over 55 and they're sitting there in these 4,000 square foot homes and they're saying to themselves, this is kind of a brutal to maintain. And these new homes also, the new homes in active communities do give great incentives. So now you have Toll Brothers in Folsom. You also have Taylor Morrison building one selling one in Elk Grove. You have Heritage by Lennar that's like all over the place. So that's kind of what you're seeing. And, it's great. Single story homes. Some are 2 bedrooms, some are 3, maximizing the community pool. I see them all over the place, but I do believe that when I first started doing like real estate, it seemed like it was Lincoln and it was Roseville, Sun City, Del Webb. That seemed to be like the main kind of like area that I would see that. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah, no, I was going to say Sun City, Del Webb. Those are the big ones, and they have multiple communities around the Sacramento area. You can be on the northern side, over in the Lincoln side. You could be on the southern side, closer to Elk Grove, if you like that. If you like the El Dorado Hills area, their heritage community is gorgeous.
Yeah,
I mean, I live in Cameron Park, which is close to El Dorado Hills, but my family will go to the Heritage Park. We go to the Retirement Community Park because their park is awesome. It has a huge, big grassy area, new, clean playground, and it's such a good like meetup spot for a bunch of young families. And so I would say that's a really cool area. And when you look at values of price per square foot for what you can get in El Dorado Hills for just a regular home versus the heritage community, there's such a significant discount for that community and for what you can get there for a newer, clean home in a great area, close to everything. I mean, you're right off Grant Line, you're next to town center, you're a 5-minute drive from almost anything, a Target, a Costco, anything that you'd want. You can go through the backside to Folsom Ranch. So I would look at Sun City, Del Webb, Heritage. That Toll Brothers in Folsom Ranch is great. I would take a hard look at all of those.
Guys, here's the thing. We're probably not going to hit all the suburbs this evening, but Corey and I are a couple of the rare birds in our area where we've done business is pretty much almost every suburb area in the Sacramento area. So if we don't hit it, we've probably worked that area, either listed a home or put people into houses there. So feel free to reach out to either one of us and talk a little bit about like Auburn, like Davis, like, like Woodland, like wherever. I mean, we pretty much know all these areas. And like Corey's, mileage goes crazy. Because of YouTube, I've been pulled in all sorts of directions to my team as well. So if you guys have, questions about specific suburbs, if you want to do a Pepsi challenge between a couple, if you're saying like, what are the gotchas, what are the pros and cons of various areas, like just reach out. It just is a phone call, be anonymous. You can use one of those voice simulators if you feel like it. We're here to help and we're here to advise you. The main thing for me, and I will tell you this, and this is something that, I definitely like check it out. Just, in Sacramento, the one thing I probably would never do, unless I was a diehard Sacramentoan and I was saying Elk Grove is where I want to be, Elk Grove is where I want to be, Elk Grove is where I want to be. The neighborhood realtor is a dinosaur at this point for a lot of the relocation buyers. They only know a certain area, a certain spot. They can take you and show you houses in another area, but for the most part, they just don't do enough business in the other areas to be competitive, to know house prices, to know communities, to know like pros and cons of all these spots. So just make sure that whoever you're working with, especially if you're relocating the area, they've done business throughout the Sacramento area, because you don't want to be one of those relo buyers that jump in and you're like, yeah, hey, I got a good realtor from Elk Grove and I moved into Elk Grove. And then my wife and I went to Folsom, and guess what? We really love Folsom and we probably should have moved into Folsom and now we got to sell our house. So just that's one thing that I would definitely advise you. Work with a realtor. It doesn't have to be me, it doesn't have to be Corey, but someone who has really, really good experience throughout the Sacramento area. Because more than not, I've worked with people that they maybe came in for Rocklin, but they ended up maybe going to Dorado Hills. They would have never even shown Dorado Hills if I wasn't like, let's go take a look. It could be something you like because you like this style and everything too. Like, it's all about the education piece, showing a person everything, and running into them a couple of years later and they're like, you know what, the place I moved into was exactly my spot, as opposed to saying like, I didn't even realize Folsom existed. I wish you would have taken the time to show us it. So do your due diligence, make sure your realtor is doing that for you, and make sure you're using a realtor who knows the Sacramento area. Elk Grove, Dorado Hills, Davis, Woodland, West Sacramento. It's vast, and you need someone who knows how to cover all that ground and is knowledgeable about it, so they can kind of give you the pros and cons on all these areas so you can make an educated decision, and there's someone there answering the questions you might have, because you're going to have a ton of them down the road. All right. That's my soapbox for the
options.
Oh, yeah. I mean, when you say
it's about options. Yeah. And I love when clients, some clients, when you're first getting started, especially, they're like a little mostly hesitant to provide negative feedback, because they don't want to like hurt your feelings or make you feel like, oh, this wasn't a fit for me, or they'll put it very delicately. And I really encourage my clients to be as blunt with me as possible. And tell me what you don't like, tell me what you do like, tell me what you're looking for. And working with a realtor that knows those things, you can say the good ones that I've worked with, that are in my office or like you, Mark, will say, oh, you know what, based off what you're saying, you should really go look over here. And it's something they've never even considered before, but then you go take a couple tours and you're like, wow, this is the spot for me. So without that, you would have never known it. So I agree with you that the local, city-wide specialist is kind of going away, and it's about providing the client options. If you're not providing them the options they're looking for, I don't feel like you're doing a good service.
Absolutely. And if you don't know pricing too in a specific area, you could all of a sudden you work with a client and then you're overpaying like crazy just because you don't know that area and you want to get a deal done. So go with caution. Okay, Jason says when buying home, location is always number one. You can change the home, but you can't change the location. Now, here's the thing I will tell you, and I'll expand on this one just a tad. Jason's right on the money. Couldn't agree more. I would say this: a lot of people who live in the Bay Area, live in LA, or relocating to the area, they're moving here for like an upgrade, right? They want that bigger house. They want the pool. They want the open concept. You want all that stuff too. It's easy to get dazzled with all that stuff, right? It's easy to fall in love with the house and not focus on the location. It's easy to fall in love with that quartz countertop you always wanted, or that pool that you always dreamt of as a kid. But yeah, you're right. The location is key, because eventually that's going to help you to understand that one day you'll be leaving your house, and one day you'll be walking around and vibing out the area. Location is so huge. I've seen it with people, and I'm like always adamant on the idea, let's do a tour, then afterwards go to dinner somewhere locally, go to Target, go to Costco's, vibe out the areas, drive through the schools, see what it looks like. This is going to be where your family is going to be living and breathing and everything too. Like, you're going to love your house. And whether you buy one in Roseville, whether you buy one in El Dorado, whatever, but the areas are very different. The people are very different. You just have to understand that these will be your people. So you need to figure out which ones are, which ones you feel more comfortable with, which ones are giving you that good mojo, that good energy. And location is key. So don't get so caught up in the lights of a quartz countertop or a nice big pool. If you're coming from maybe a 1,000 square foot condo in San Jose, there's a lot of them everywhere. So you're good. All right. What do you think, Corey?
Oh, 100%, 100%. I try to force my new home buyer clients to look at a lot of homes. I try to get them to look at like 15, 20 before they make a decision. And, it's very easy for them to see 3 or 4 and be like, we absolutely love this one. I'm not going to tell somebody to, hey, stop. If you truly feel that way and you want to make an offer on the home, hey, let's go for it. But at the same time, even if you make that offer and we're waiting for a response, let's go still check out a couple more options, because that might change your mind. So just like anything, shop around, find that good deal, find that best fit for you. And if you're not looking, you're not going to find it.
Yeah, and I'd also say, like, certain areas like your East Sacramento's, your 30s houses, 40 houses, and everything too. Like those areas are a little bit more like specific, like one-offs, or maybe even the Granite Bay area too. But I'll tell you something, like the housing styles and the housing builders are very similar in like your Folsom, your Rosevilles, your Rocklins, your Dorado Hills. So if you go to like Dorado Hills and you're falling in love with the floor plans, you're probably gonna get something a little bit similar like that, probably like in your Rosevilles, in your Folsoms and other areas. So don't feel just like, oh my God, this floor plan is so like, this is the one I want. Yeah, you're going to find it in other areas, but just go to the other areas and see which one really you feel more comfortable with. And then, the floor plan it won't be as hard as you might think to find. Now, granted, right now the inventory is a little tight, but again, the juice is worth the squeeze on that. The location is so vital, as far as resale, as far as where you live, as far as where your kids are going to school, as far as where you're going shopping, your gym and everything too. Just do that, do the work, and you'll thank us later. All right, video guy, I'm at. Rent in this area right now is less than a vast majority of new builds or spending on interest alone. Sunk cost is sunk cost. Yeah, I mean, if you look at it right now, back in the day when interest rates were lower, it's like, hey, it's cheaper to buy. It is cheaper to rent at this point in our area, depending on your down payment and everything too. And as Corey said, and I echo that too, if you don't feel comfortable with this area, if you feel like you're being rushed, if you feel like you're, 50-50 on an area or a house, 6 months renting might be good. I mean, I don't see the market going crazy in 6 months, or all of a sudden it's like, oh, everything went up $10,000. I don't think we're in that market. What do you think, Corey?
No, yeah, I agree with you, and I'm starting to see more and more like drama-filled headlines related to real estate in general, like across the nation. Just with everything going on politically, I'm starting to see more of these predictors, I'll call them, of people saying there's going to be a huge market shift. There, we're going to see interest rates drop to the fours. We're going to see this. Or I'm seeing these big sensational headlines, more and more of them coming out, which may everybody's looking at data differently, and that may indicate some level of change. But I'm not seeing anything drastic, especially on the shorter term, that's going to make some significant impact. And you know what? Even if it does make some significant impact, if you pick an area that you love and are happy in, and your family is happy in, and you enjoy every day, the interest rate dropping a half a point might not even affect you once you're happy and settled in. If you paid a little bit more for it, hey, you can always refinance. Or if you got a higher interest rate, you can always refinance. But if you're happy where you're at, that to me is the biggest factor in the longevity of home ownership, building that equity long term. The consistent moving, every 2, 3, 4 years. And I have clients that do that. They don't mind that. They don't mind the move. They'd want to pick and choose where they're at, or their lifestyle is constantly changing. They're selling a business and having a big windfall, or they're having kids, or their family's reducing size, or they're empty nesters now. Like that can always change. But I think getting your foot in the door into a place that you love is the most important factor.
No, I'm with you 100%. I think sometimes because of Zestimates and all these headlines, you can get so caught up in the drama, and then you're like, oh, am I making the right decision? Am I making the wrong decision? My buddy Bob got a 2.75. Should I wait for the market to get there? It's just, there's so many things like that just kind of haunt us as far as our decisions are. But again, I mean, if you're driven, like what we say on this channel, like time your life, don't time the market. I don't know, for me, we upgraded our house a little while ago, and my daughter enjoyed the pool, and those memories will be with me for as long as I can remember those memories. But that stuff is vital. So yeah, I'm with you. All right, West Roseville is a good area for retirees. I think West Roseville is great for retirees. I think West Roseville, in my humble opinion, is great from families, for people who are looking for a little bit to get into Roseville and get some good incentives. I think there's builders doing good competition out there as well too. Some, of course, hire Melorussia to watch it, but I think you're going to find floor plans. You're going to find an area developing and everything too. I think West Roseville is a little slower than Roseville, but I mean, I don't mind it. I came to Sacramento for suburbs. I didn't come in here to go party until 2 a.m. I came in here for Netflix, barbecues, nice walks, and all that stuff. Roseville is very, very good. West Roseville is very good for. So I like West Roseville. And a surf park? What do you think, Corey? Is it too late for someone like me to learn how to surf? Might
Never,
have to try it
never.
there.
I
Maybe
grew up
we'll go.
surfing. That's like the biggest thing I miss from is the beach. I grew up by the beach. I was on my high school surf team. Like I grew up just at the beach constantly, and I am so excited for this surf park to come in. A little scared of
Oh,
injuries because now that I'm older, I don't bend anymore. I break, so I'll have to take it easy. But I'm excited for that to come. That's going to be really cool.
it's gonna be cool. And there's so many fun things, guys. There's so many things happening to Sacramento, downtown Dover, rail yards, Top Golf at North Natomas area, South Natomas. One of the Natomases is right there. We got so much stuff happening, and all these medical areas, and then that new area on Sunrise, that whole development, hockey stadium. It's crazy. You guys will love it. All right, the best thing about West Roseville is it's still affordable at this time. I believe that more development is coming and the land value will increase. I think so too. I think the college coming in, I think Placer Parkway, all the infrastructure being built. I think that area, it's just about time. And that's the main thing. It's just that some people I want now. I want the Gucci store to be right next to me right now. I want restaurants to be right there. And, there's going to be certain timelines for certain people. Certain people want certain things right now. I mean, and that's just kind of one of those things. But for me, I like my West Roseville. I think West Roseville is very, very good. All right, we got Wendy. Wendy, how you doing? Inventory still seems extremely slow. Do you anticipate an increase in listing over the coming months? Or is it simply the new reality of the market in Gold River, Rancho, and Antolia? Well, the thing with Rancho, with Gold River, I think it's going to be a flux market. I think you're going to see some stuff listing. I think Gold River at this point, I think we are seeing some overpricing in Gold River, not to be brutal, but I think we are. You're seeing a lot of people, I think, pick up listings and they're promising they'll sell them for millions and they don't. I see a lot of stuff getting relisted by various realtors, and that seems to be a common theme around here. Now, Rancho and Anatolia, that whole area, it's going to be competition with new homes. I mean, a lot of people, if they look at a home, let's say a home 550, and they're saying, "Ooh, do I get this home for 550? Yes, it has a landscape backyard, but I'm going to get a 6.5 interest rate. Or do I take a little walk over to Quahog, get a home, maybe get a 4% interest rate, or even lower than that at Richmond?" So I think one of the things about Rancho and Antolia, I mean, Taylor Morrison's gonna be building there. There are just so many builders out there that you're probably gonna see more resale pop up in those areas. But understand that new homes are gonna keep chugging away. You got Beazer, you got Woodside, you got Tri-Point, you got Lennar, you got Quahog, you got Elliott, you got Cressley. I got not enough fingers. You got tons of builders out there. So that area is gonna be flooded with houses. All right. I sincerely want to purchase. However, I want to be thrilled in love with the house. I say this, especially for you, Wendy, love the house. Feel like that's the place. Because I tell you something, and this is coming from my heart, I hate moving. I cannot stand it. Like the idea, I look around, I see all the stuff we have, and I say to myself, we're going to be packing and moving. I just don't want that. So I would say if you're going to go through with it and make a move, fall in love with the house, especially for you, and I know you well, fall in love with the house. Like really, really say, this is the place I've always dreamt of. This is what I want everything to. And some people are in different situations. Some people are like, I just need to get in there and get that house in that area. Everyone's different, and that's the beautiful part about real estate. What do you think, Corey?
I agree. I'm always about just you gotta absolutely love it as much as you can. If it feels like slightly off, I would just say keep looking. Going back to the inventory question, you know, seasonality wise, I think we're kind of like going into early summer. I think we're past that big inventory push that we see in the springtime. Not to say that that can't change. I mean, it's just, we're kind of estimating the seasonality effect. Sometimes we see this huge inventory push like late summer, early fall. And so it's hard to judge where the inventory is going to pick up. I think with all this mid-election cycle and summertime vacations kicking off and kids out of school, you'll see this slight pullback historically on inventory during this time. But as we get into that midsummer and some of those kind of family vacations are out of the way, our families are planning to go back to school and people are settling in, I think we'll see a little bit more of that inventory pick up. Yeah, That's what I think.
I don't know. I mean, right now, because you know how it was, the market was pretty much like, I say this, like the market was picking up, right? Like maybe about a month ago. It was boom. It was like, for some reason, everyone was out there looking at everything too, and that slowed down just a bit. And the market, I would say right now is a slower market. I'd say inventory isn't popping up as much as it should be. And a lot of the inventory is relisted by their third realtor, and their third realtor is listing it for higher than the first realtor. So you are seeing pricing be a little off, and you see it. I mean, I can look at a house and go overpriced. And then all of a sudden you see it's the third listing agent. So I think you're running into that as well too. I don't know what the inventory level is going to be like, because for me, I know that for me, like we have listings coming out. We just had one just hit the market yesterday on Citrus Heights, and you're going to see, people who need to sell their homes, they're going to put them on the market. But I think that big pop that we saw like March and April and even beginning of May for inventory, I don't know if we're going to see that, because if you were talking to someone, let's say in December, you'd be like, we're going in March, man. We're going in April. That's when we're going to list, because of all the traffic coming in from the Bay. June, hot weather's here. Yeah, you're going to list some homes. There are going to be homes on the market and everything too. But at this point, I think, there's a big rush that happens in the Sacramento area around like April, May, because people want to get settled before school start. People get their schools set up when they're relocating to an area in May. They get everything set up, right? They're figuring it out. They want everything done. And so we see that big pop happen like in April and May here. June, depending on interest rates, depending on the market, can be good, can be bad. And then July 4th, man, everyone here is on the river. Everyone's done.
Everybody's at the lake. Yeah.
Now the smart buyers, are always tuned in towards the end of this year. They're all just kind of looking around and ready to roll. For me and the team, we're working with Meritage right now to list list a quick move-in home and everything. I think that I see resale, I think the luxury market is still doing rather well. I think the entry level too is doing like the 400, 500 is doing well. I think the mid market is doing a little hurting. But again, like Derek said, like a bunch of other people have said, I think new homes are they're not doing as well as they wanted to do, but I still love new homes as far as if you want to get those buy downs, if you want to get and I think as we progress further on in this year, I think you're probably going to see some better incentives like as well in the new home area. What do you think?
I'd agree. I think you'll see the incentives increase as we go into that late summer, early fall. I think you'll see those because especially I don't see those new home builders slowing down a whole lot. Some communities are slowing down depending. There's always going to be subsects in the new build communities, the ones that aren't that have the higher Mellows, or they don't have a lot of the dedicated schools and shopping area and commercial stuff that you see around it just yet. You'll see some of those having stacked inventory, which you can still get amazing deals on because they offer those quick move-ins, those low interest rates happening. Just keeping a close eye on the market and seeing what is out there is the best way to find what the best fit is. But like you said, don't stop shopping late fall into the early winter months, because gosh, those are some of the best deals you can find out there. And if you're not looking at them, the other buyers are going to swoop in and take those things.
And remember, guys, it only takes one and you're done. Whether you're selling or buying, it only takes one. One is all that you need. Mm-hmm. All right. With growing age population, let's do this one. With growing age population, which is in East Roseville, I assume kids will be bussed in. Same thing happened in Davis and Woodland, kids being bussed in. I think you're going to see a lot of areas hit that. I mean, I think our school system, I think the lines are going to be changing and everything too. I think the bus system, like they've been doing it in Rancho and Elk Grove for a while as well too. So I think that, the part about like what's called East Roseville in like Granite Bay is just, you're not seeing too much new homes. It's going to be, I think schools are going to really, I think people are not going to be happy about it. And some people are going to be ecstatic about it. It's going to be a very interesting, and we'll keep you updated on this channel of what's going on. I think everyone should have the ability to have good education. I think we have enough schools to do so. That's my 2 cents. All right. Thank you for the pocket information. Pamela, not even a problem. This is exactly my point. Pricing. Feel the majority of sellers are asking too much on the heels of COVID. Homes between 90s, hundreds, little to no upgrades versus 2000s seem close in money, not liking 90s or 100 double zeros with no upgrades. Yeah, I'm with you. And I think that's one of the main things that people see. Like a lot of times we'll work with people who are looking either new homes or resale. And at this point, if you're looking at like the 4s, the 5s, and 6s, I mean, resales, don't really compete with new homes at this point. I mean, just with the incentives you're getting and everything, it's just no wonder new homes are still doing relatively well. And I know some people are like, new homes are hurting. Yeah, they're not doing as well as everyone anticipated resale and new homes would do at this point. But new homes, if you go out to them, some homes, they're going to be quick move-in homes and everything too. But they've sold homes. I mean, the Toll Brothers in Rocklin, they've already sold a whole bunch of homes, like Meritage, like Taylor, they're selling homes still because a lot of people are saying that why wouldn't I go to a brand new home? Insulation, energy costs, solar, they just make sense. And with the buy downs, with the interest rates, with the, closing cost incentives and all that stuff too. For me, I think a lot of people are realizing that even if new homes weren't their first pick, once they go there and they see the open floor plan and they just see the nice, huge walk-in closets, they're like, I'm kind of liking this. And then they see the interest rates, and then they see the incentives, and then they see the monthly. I mean, you see a lot of people just signing on the dotted line. What do you think, Corey?
Yeah. No, I would agree with you. I think the biggest factor there is either location. The homes that are built in the 90s, 2000s with little to no upgrades, they're either in a more desirable location, or at least in my experience, my buyers who are more geared to purchasing those resale homes versus the new they are firm on their belief. And I can relate to this because I'm one of these buyers too, that I do not want cookie cutter. I do not want something that's, all the homes kind of look like 3 different models in the entire neighborhood or a small yard. I wanted something a little older. I'm very hands-on. I want to do the home upgrades on my own and get that sweat equity in. I wanted as much yard as I could, relatively maintain and afford. And so I think there's different buyers for both, I guess is what I'm trying to say. I have buyers that want to have no grass in the backyard at all because they don't want to deal with any maintenance. They want to be able to go out, enjoy the backyard, barbecue, but not have to look at it week to week because they're two young, busy people and they just don't want that maintenance aspect. And then there's others that are like, I don't care. I don't care if it's a time capsule from the 70s. If it has some character and a nice backyard that I can build into something I love in the future, that's what I'm looking for. So there's buyers for everything, just like there's people for everybody, There's always going to be a good fit out there. And I think it's just, there's a right buyer for every home. There's a right fit for each person. Some of those ones with no upgrades, people walk into them and they love it.
Yeah. I mean, the hardest thing right now for a lot of people, I mean, we know the economy isn't doing fantastic and everything. The hardest part is that the new homes their incentives are coming at such a time right now where we go to the gas station and gas prices are skyrocketing. You go to Costco and you're double your bill for less stuff. And then you're thinking to yourself, what's that mortgage payment going to look like? You calculate 6.5 if you're lucky, and you're like, and then all of a sudden you see, hey, a 2-1 buy down. Or, or hey, we'll get you down to Richmond American, a month and a half ago, 2 months ago, was offering a straight up FHA 3.75. Mic drop. Boom. Mic drop. I'm walking away.
Yeah.
You can't compete with that. And so for me, I go, new homes, man, you got to at least go check it out and see what they have to offer. And that's just, I don't know. It is. All right. Nikki, the all-star realtor, El Dorado Hills, Folsom. We love Nikki. There are some awesome active communities in our region. There are. Lincoln Hills, up to that area, that clubhouse, it's awesome. Then you got Toll Brothers over there too with the golf cart and the nice pool. Heritage, like you said, Corey. I mean, if you're looking for active communities, there's a ton of them. I even like, I like the one also in Rancho, the new one by K-Hoff. really, really nice. It looks like a lodge in Tahoe. And then you got Turkey Creek over in Link. Yeah, there's a lot of them, guys. You'll have fun here if you're looking for that. All right, Devin, what up, Mark? Totally agree on getting a place you want, even if it pushes you a little more than you want. Don't lose a place over 10K in 20 years. You'll be thanking yourself. Yeah, and also, if you run the numbers and you think to yourself, and you look at it on paper, mortgage payment isn't that much comparatively, especially like if you find the place you love, if you believe in the area that you're buying into and you say, you know what, I like this area. I think because real estate is legalized gambling, of course, but if you look at an area and you believe in it and you say, I think it's going to do well. I like my community. Go for it. And then also if you're spending those days barbecuing, having fun with the family, I mean, you can't even put a price tag on that. For me, even if I leave my house one day and I break even, all those memories I had with my daughter, like learning how to swim in the pool, having our family get Greek festivals at our house, all that stuff too, priceless. Memories, again, that will last with me until I stop remembering stuff. It's just, that there's no amount of money for that. All right. Location, atmosphere, and charm are extremely important to me. I think for you and for a majority of people, like location, atmosphere, charm, and whatever that charm means to you. Some people love the family, the farm life, like that charm of having those animals around. Some people like the bougie stuff where like they have that U-shaped driveway. Sacramento's got it all, guys. I mean, whatever is your style, whatever is your definition of charm and awesome, like, I don't know, Sacramento. I feel like we got it all here, Corey. What do you think?
Oh, 100%. I mean, anything you'd want and desire, you can have. You can have the farm life, the homestead life. You can have the small old town, kind of gold rush era feel by going out to some of these more historic towns a little further out. You can have that same historic charm in like old town Fair Oaks. You can have that's closer to everything. You can have bougie, you can have modern, you can have contemporary. It's all here. And I mean, my favorite part about this area is you get the trees, the water, the lifestyle, the convenience, the amenities, all of that in one location. It's really hard to find all of that in one kind of centralized suburb that doesn't feel. Sacramento to me feels too big that I can live my entire life here, and it feels big enough that I have plenty of places to explore and experience, and I could easily spend 30, 40 years here and still find new fun things to do. It doesn't feel too small. It doesn't feel too big. To me, it's just a perfect fit.
Okay. I'm going to go on what you just said because there's another thing too for me. Like today I was at the aquatic center. I was like literally with my daughter's class, I was cooking up about 100 hamburgers for kids today. That's why I'm so fried. Nice. But I'm looking at there and they're paddle boarding. I'm thinking to myself, man, I'd love to try that. Then I'm thinking about our area, right? I mean, like 5 minutes from me, I can get on a horse if I want to and go up the trails in Fair Oaks if I feel like it. I can go to Apple Hill, which is like 30 minutes away, photography, hang out, and just, I mean, there's so many things that you can get into as well here if you've never gotten into it. If you want to be a cyclist, go to Gold River. We cycle all the time. If you want to, go hiking, there's tons of hiking trails. I mean, there's so many things that, growing up maybe in the Bay, maybe somewhere else, that you said to yourself, I always wanted to maybe get into golf. You can do it here. You got Top Golf, instructors over there too. I mean, there's bowling leagues here. I mean, there's so many things that you can kind of do here that maybe you've always wanted to. They've been on your bucket list. There's tons of groups too on Facebook. I mean, a million groups, almost everything underneath the sun. So yeah, that's another thing too. I was looking at this going paddle boarding. I'm like, never done that before. Might have to try that. Then I'm thinking that surf park.
I'll take you out.
Never surfed before. Yeah. I'm like, surf park?
I have never 2 paddle boards. I'll take you out.
All right.
Let's
I'm like,
go.
surf
It's
park.
so
My buddy
fun.
Corey surfed, grew up surfing. Man, maybe I'm doing that. But like, those are the things about Sacramento that make it so amazing. There are things, and also surrounding. In wintertime, you got Tahoe. If you had never skied, or if you always want to learn how to snowboard, take a couple lessons. You're good to go. But those things are just right there for you to try in an atmosphere where, like, things are a lot more affordable. Things are a lot more mellow. the pace is a lot more relaxed in the Bay Area and everything too. You can just get those organic veggies if you always wanted to. I mean, it's really, really a fun place to explore, like Corey said, and to get into a whole bunch of new stuff. All right, we got Rose, I believe. I agree. Builders are selling into the future. I think future months. I would say right now, builders, the best deals you're going to get with new homes are going to be the quick move-ins. The quick move-ins are where they shine. You know, the quick move-ins they need to get rid of. They're willing to make deals. When you build something that's like, you know, from scratch, you're going to pay a premium. But builders are going to keep building here, man. I mean, I know Richmond. I was talking to a friend of mine who sells a Richmond American, who's now part of the Woodside or whatever they're doing over there. Richmond's crazy right now. But they're like, yeah, we got 3 more communities building in this area. Builders are going to continue to build in this area, and they're going to grow, and these areas are going to develop Melloroos, new parks, new schools, everything. It's going to be pretty amazing here in Sacramento. What do you think about this? I agree. Builders are selling into the future months.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, I don't think it's going to slow down much at all into the long-term future. I think builders have teams of researchers and analysts and so much backing that they know the places to build where people are going to want to go to. And Sacramento's just become this hub for people. And I've experienced it personally. I have family on my wife's side that's in the Bay Area. I grew up in the Southern California, Los Angeles area. And everybody is constantly asking me and is curious, like, oh man, I should come up. Aunts and uncles that I know that have lived in the Los Angeles area for 3 decades are saying, well, maybe we'll go retire up by you. It looks amazing up there. Everything that we see that you're posting online and everything just looks like such an amazing fit. And then I post like a just listed, just sold. And they're like, oh my God, I can get that for this price? I had no clue. And that it just changes their mind almost instantly into considering the Sacramento area. And growing up, I told my friends and family, I am never leaving the beach cities of LA. I am going to live here. I'm going to die here. I'm never leaving this lifestyle. And if I go anywhere, maybe it's like up and down the coast a little bit, but definitely not Sacramento, definitely not Bay Area. It wasn't a fit for me. And here I am, loving, promoting my lifestyle and encouraging others to check it out in the Sacramento area. I would never think that I would be in this position ever.
You got Corey, Cars and Coffee. You got Corey, pretty much the first one at the new surf park in West Roseville. You got a good lifestyle here, man. You know, not too bad. You cannot complain. You can even teach your kids how to surf there. I mean, how cool would that be?
Right. Exactly. Or
dream,
if the part of while I'm waiting for it to open, I don't own a boat, unfortunately, but I have friends with boats, and you can go wake surfing on Folsom Lake. You know, like my kids are learning those things, not living by the beach, and that's okay. But also, if we want to go to the coast, want to see the beach, what is it, like 2.5 hour drive, real quick? It's not bad at all.
I think it's better to have friends who own boats and own a boat yourself. Myself, I mean, that's my own.
100%.
All right. Rose says, lock in closing incentives. Guys, if you are a KHOV, and you are in Rancho, say hello to Rose. She can actually do something for me that is just amazing. She knows numbers, lender numbers too. So a lot of people, when they're going to see new homes and everything too, they're just really confused about really how much they're going to pay every single month. Rose will actually bring you in her office, talk to you about how much you make, all this stuff too, and she will actually calculate and get super close to exactly what it looks like, and she'll work with you to make the numbers work. She is one of my favorite salespeople who does that. And I would say if you are at Cave Hov, go talk to Rose and just say, run my numbers, man. And she's good. I mean, she's a hustler, don't get me wrong, and she's a closer. We love her, but she's one of the few new home people that I know that actually know the numbers as well. So if you tell her how much you make, this your credit and everything too, she plugs it in. Okay, this is what we're looking like. Oh, you don't want that? Let's do an FHA. Boom, 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 boom. Okay, let's do 20% over here. Amazing. She's worked with a lot of my clients, and I will say that is very, very needed in the new home space. All right, Jason,
so helpful.
How we feel? Oh, knowing the numbers and knowing exactly what that stuff translates to. Like you're like, hey, we can give you $30,000 towards closing costs or buying down your rate. Okay, so what exactly does that mean? You got to talk to our lender. Rose can sit you down and say, I'll tell you what that means, which for me,
So
completely, totally helpful. All right, we got Jason. Oh, I love this question too. All right.
helpful.
How are we feeling about Berkshire Hathaway buying Taylor Morrison for $6.8 billion? What do they know that we don't? Safe to say, market is going to keep going up. Yeah. What Berkshire Hathaway? Let me think if I can connect some dots. Warren Buffett, who bought a big stock in D.R. Horton back in the day, owns a big stock in that. Warren Buffett, Berkshire Hathaway is Warren Buffett, isn't it? I mean, or there's a tie in there, and then Berkshire Hathaway buying Taylor Morrison. So there is that kind of like synergy there. I think Buffett's always been very, very high in the new home space. So it doesn't really surprise me. I like Taylor. Hopefully they don't do anything different. I mean, I think Taylor's got a great rep around here. I'd hate to see them ruin it. So hopefully they keep on keeping on. What do you think about that?
I'm so glad Jason brought this up because I texted you this yesterday saying, hey, this should be a talking point for our show tonight. Because the news is just broken. You know, if you're an agent anywhere in the nation, you probably got the email this afternoon from Taylor Morrison saying, hey, we're proud to announce that we've been purchased by Berkshire Hathaway. I mean, Warren Buffett's probably regarded as the best investor, long-term successful investor in the nation, and he is doubling down in his residential real estate space with this purchase. I think Taylor Morrison has built such a good reputation, or a good enough reputation, to garner the eyeballs from Warren Buffett and Berkshire Hathaway, and combining that. And I agree with you that I hope they don't get in there and change too much stuff, but I would think that if they're purchasing it, they're already doing a dang good job, and that they're probably going to let them go and keep building that up with hopefully some more support behind them. And not that they need it, but just think of, just adding more benefit to that. And I think Jason's point of what he's saying is that, a smart, savvy, well-regarded investor is buying into this residential space, and I think it's just shows that the longevity is there in the future, and that new homes are going to continue to be a big product, especially in our area, but probably across the nation.
Yeah. Here's the interesting
needed.
part.
New housing is needed. Yeah.
Oh, we got land, we're building, and you see a lot of money moves happening here, like Shawwood buying like Richmond American, or Richmond American buying. There's everyone's kind of eating each other up and creating this whole atmosphere. But here's the thing about Taylor, and this is something that I find very interesting, right? Okay, so Taylor has 3 products that I've seen, and you saw it in Folsom. You see they have the entry level, the mid level, and the kind of bougie level. And so what you've seen is that when they've opened community, their entry level homes tend to go very, very fast. We see it at Folsom, and that was crazy. I mean, what was it like? I think the debut, or there were 3 levels. I forget their names, but their basic entry, let's get in there because of the brand name, was really, really popular. So what you notice is that you look at Wild Hawk too, Wild Hawk North and Wild Hawk South, and I get them confused as well too. One of them was more their entry level housing, and then their other community, the other Wild Hawk, was more their bougie level. So they kind of at bougie and their second 2 tiers. Taylor's entry level has been selling out like crazy. Now, my gut tells me that like they bought them and they're thinking to themselves, we're going to do more. We're going to leverage the Taylor Morrison name, and we're going to build more like starter homes, start like that lower price point home. And it wouldn't surprise me if we saw more of those communities happening, because Taylor Morrison's a name that is synonymous with like, a nice quality build. Some of the bigger homes you see, like the Drakes and everything too, and Taylor Morrison has built. But I wouldn't be surprised if you see more like the Wild Hawk North or the Wild Hawk, whichever one, where the more entry level, and you see those like developing, because I know that that's what they plan on building in Rancho, and that could be really, really attractive, because D.R. Horton in our area is known as entry level. That's, like starter. You feel the weight of the doors, you feel the size of the granite. It's like, okay, I want to get a house. I don't want to go to Toll Brothers. Where do I go to get more of like something that's a little bit more affordable? D.R. Horton, KB, they've kind of answered that call. But I do think that D.R. Horton has that reputation of being at that level, where Taylor Morrison has a reputation of being a little bit more like seen as like that quality builder, that like, you know, I can get my $1 million home. And I think that this play could be something to leverage their name to sell more affordable homes. So that's my own 2 cents. And I think it'll be interesting to see how it plays out. But
that's interesting.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how it rolls out. All right. Oh, this is good.
I think it's a great point.
It's going to be interesting because Taylor Morrison does have that name. So I don't know. It'll be fun.
Right.
All right. Buy a home in cash in West Roseville or keep renting and invest the money. I know yours is easy. What would you rather do?
So the whole argument of it's always cheaper to rent, and you can actually, you know, prosper further by renting a home. Like I've read studies on this and broken down the numbers on my own too, that if you are diligently, strategically investing the money you're saving by not owning a home into true investments, then long term you will compile wealth faster than owning a home. That doesn't apply to every situation, but just kind of in general, that's the case. Where it comes down to is people's discipline to actually doing that. Most people don't just rent and take all of the money that they would be paying for a mortgage and diligently say, okay, I would be paying X amount in taxes for property taxes, X amount in maintenance, this is how much I would pay for, you know, landscaping and whatnot, and take those funds out of their bank account and actively invest them. If you're diligent enough to do that, then by all means, go ahead and do that. If you buy the house in West Roseville all cash, and sit on that. I mean, California is an appreciation state, so those numbers could be very close. You know, you miss a couple investments because you had a month where you took a vacation or something like that. Hey, who knows, that cash investment might outpace it. But I would challenge that and say, hey, what if you took 50% down cash, bought that house, and then lived a similar lifestyle where you're not putting all of the cash down on the home, invest that other 50% into some stronger investments or other investments beyond real estate just to diversify, and then you kind of have the best of both worlds. I think this question, I think the real answer of what's going to work best for you comes down to how disciplined you are in actually reinvesting that money that you're saving from a purchase versus renting. And that's so subjective to so many people on how you live your life and what, you know, comes up in your life and how your life changes over time during that time you're living there. So that it's a tough one to answer.
For me, I'd say this. Okay, so let's say you're renting, let's say you buy a house, and we're talking in cash, right? So that means you pay for the house, all done. You're done. Cash is done. You're all good. Or you're renting, I'm guessing in West Roseville. So what you're paying maybe about like $2,500 a month. And you're taking the rest of your money and investing it. The rental piece that throws it off for me. I'd rather buy a home in West Roseville. But I would probably, if I'm looking for it, just a place to plant my money in maybe 4 or 5 years, like getting out, I would go as close to maybe West Park because it's a little bit more infinite, because it's a little bit more developed. Mm-hmm. That would just be me. If I was looking to get my money out sooner. But again, the rental piece of it, I mean, rents, it is, how can I say it? It is more affordable to rent than buy right now in the area. But if you're buying a home all cash and you have, no mortgage payment and you're sitting in your home, as opposed to like having a place that you're renting and investing the rest of your money, I'd probably buy the house myself. I mean, that rent piece is going to throw you off because that's like, what, $2,400 every single month that you're going to look at and go, I could have been going towards something else. And you got to be a really, really good investor to make that much money a month free and clear from Uncle Sam and everything too. So I don't know. I mean, I'd go house, but I would make sure also that I'm leveraging in an area that, is probably the most affordable house in the West Roseville area, as close as I can to like, the growth. I'd be looking at development plans as well too, but that'd be me.
Yeah. And, I focus a lot on commercial real estate as well. So seeing that comment, I would definitely encourage you to look into the benefits of potentially using some of that cash to look into the multifamily sector, look into it's tough to make sense on some of the duplexes in the area, but once you get into the 3, 4, 5 units in the area, those can really make sense if you're, living in one unit, renting out the other units. You can pay just as much for cash, or just as much as you would cash for a single family home in West Roseville for a multifamily, and you get so many tax benefits and write-offs and consistent monthly income coming in from that, that if you're not looking to buy your forever home, that might be a really good play for you.
Yeah, I like that. All right. Any tips for picking home insurance, specifically replacement costs? What do you think?
Yeah, I'd look heavily into replacement costs and also, the risk factor of where you live. If you're in a high fire area or a flood zone or something like that, that is prone to higher risk, I would be much more specific in caring on replacement costs. For me personally, technically I'm in a higher fire zone, but I'm still in more of the suburban, less rural area. There's a fire hydrant literally in my driveway. So I'm not hyper concerned about overall replacement costs because I understand that the risks for needing a full replacement value payout from an insurance company is fairly low. Um, but I have a very close insurance guy. I've worked with him for years. He is amazing, and when he's running quotes for my clients, I sit down with him, or I say sit down. We have a phone call most of the time and say, okay, what are the options? Is this a high risk property where the insurance cost is going to be scary no matter what? Or is this something that if it's real cheap, then you don't have to talk about it as much? If it's a higher insurance cost property, then I usually sit down and say, hey, what can we adjust that deductible down? Can we adjust that replacement cost a little bit, so we're actually, the benefit will be a little bit less, but also your payment is a little bit less. So um, obviously I'm not an insurance expert, so I just ask all these questions trying to pose like, hey, can we do this, can we do that, can we do this, and seeing what he's able to do. But keep in mind, my biggest thing with insurance that I've learned working with him is that um, insurance, if you have beautiful vaulted ceilings and a lot of beautiful architecture and cool design to the house, and you get your insurance replacement quote, that replacement cost coverage, typically if your insurance agent isn't walking through the home, taking photos, notating that in your quote that you have these features in your house, you're not going to get those features if you have a full replacement payout. You're going to get the traditional 8-foot ceilings, flat, none of that architecture stuff. You're going to get kind of the more basic builder grade features of the home as a replacement. So I make sure, if my clients are sensitive to that or want to make sure that they're insured appropriately, that my insurance agent is going in there, photographing those things and notating those in their quote, because a lot of people have been shocked when they get the
Yeah.
insurance quote back, and they're not getting what they had. And that is, you've already been through a traumatic event with something major happening to your home, and now you're not getting exactly what you had back. But there's not $100,000 extra sitting in the bank for you to throw in to get back what you had. So I would just say, talk to your insurance person and make sure you're accurately insured. Or if you don't care, just get the cheapest insurance policy and roll with it.
Yeah. I'd also say
What do you?
too,
What
figuring
about
out
you?
like, well, one is for sure, like, go to a broker. What about home insurance
Mhm.
is brokers. You want to go to a farmer's broker, not just an agent, but a broker. They're going to give you the best quote. They're going to quote you out the best. As far as replacement costs, just know exactly what that looks like if you get bumped to the California Fair Plan. I think the max is 1.2 or something like that. That stuff that's really vital. As far as a property itself, just start looking around as far as other houses and what it looks like for them as well too. Sometimes you can look at your house and get a quote, and then maybe you look in other areas and find out what other people are paying in home insurance or what it would look like. The hardest part about home insurance is the fact that you have no control over it. I mean, a fire can happen and all of a sudden, like, even if it's not super close to where you live, it can go. So just kind of figure out what it looks like if you're going to be bumped to the California Fair Plan. For me, the rules of thumb for me, and eventually I might move out of Gold River one day. Fire hydrant needs to be close by to help you a little bit. Fire department needs to be kind of close by as well too. Your house has to be accessible, and if you're buying a house that is like dry grass behind it, or you're even close to the lake, which is weird, but closer you are to the lake, the more your home insurance is going to be as well too. Those are things you got to all consider. And by working with a broker, the right broker, he'll be able to point you in that direction. Some companies do AI mapping, which is not great because they really can't tell exactly, they tend to give you higher quotes because they're not really doing the due diligence to get out there. Some of them do. So you got to know also the pros and cons of the various companies. But I would say definitely go to a broker. I would also say someone goes with someone who's local and knows the area as well too, because they can call BS at times on quotes. So that would be my 2 cents on it. We got video guy Matt. Foreclosing filings are finally ticking up a bit, but the lenders just keep extending. People living for free. The inventory is never hitting. Agreed. Like the thing about foreclosing is it's so hard to actually foreclose on a property that even if you see numbers kind of tick up, you're right. There's a lot of Saved by the Bell stuff. So, and what you notice is that the funny thing about foreclosures, I've seen so many realtors jump into those and they're listing way too high still, and still the houses are still on the market. So yeah, I don't know. What do you think about that? Do you think, it's so hard for a house to be foreclosed on, correct?
Yeah. And I explain it to my clients this way of like, it costs the bank money, time, and resources to foreclose on a property. Like it's hurting the homeowner too, but it's also hurting the bank. Like everybody's losing in that situation. So it
Yeah.
makes sense that all parties involved are going to try to do as much as they can by putting those payments at the back of the loan, recasting the loan, or whatever they can do to keep that from going to foreclosure as best as they can. So I agree that I am seeing more than I had in the past year, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they're getting bid up so fast. If the agent is listing it at a price that is reasonable or very attractive, they're getting so many offers that it's going pretty much as the house right next door. You're not getting the benefits of what we would saw pre-COVID of buying a foreclosure, like meaning you're getting a great deal on that property, a short
Yeah.
sale or something like that. They're just not. They're fewer and far between, and the ones that are there, they're just not selling at a steep discount.
100%. All right. Do you have any book recommendations for online resources that go more in depth than first-time home buyer courses? It depends on what exactly, and you can hit me offline. You can text me if you feel like it. My number is, and I'll see if I can find some resources for you that are legit. They're not just AI books, which are driving me crazy. I'll see if I can find it for you. Can you touch on buyer burnout? Yeah, buyer burnout is legit real, and in this heat, it can even get. Yeah, it can be brutal. I've been looking for the last 2 months, found a few. I regret now putting in offers. Kind of want the process over. Buying has been time consuming and exhausting. I get that all the time. That's why we don't really when we do tours, we don't show too many houses at like one like round. We go out for maybe 2 hours at most. Sometimes you can just start seeing stuff and houses get confusing and everything too. Here would be my homework for you. Okay. I would say start figuring out exactly, don't even grab the house, grab it, throw it away. Okay. I want you to focus more on areas, communities, floor plans, square footage. Create a list of wants and needs. That's huge as well too. Start figuring out exactly and start narrowing down the playing field a little bit. That would be my own 2 cents. That's what I would do, right? But yeah, you're going to see some really areas that you might romanticize and go, oh, I would love to live in Shingle Springs and be out there. But would you really? So start narrowing down exactly like your areas that you like, the communities that you like. Floor plans, the square footage, size of backyards, all that stuff is vital, right? And just start narrowing down the field. It's going to help you out. It will give you the best mental relaxation thing, period, if you know exactly what you're looking for. Once you know exactly what you're looking for, you're not going to get 2:00 in the morning. Oh, look at this house. I've never heard of Carmichael. That could be a great spot for me. No. Right now, your education piece is knowing suburbs, communities, areas, floor plans, square footage that's going to work for you. Know what you want, you know what I mean? And what you need as well too. And those things are just vital things to start with. But for me, I get a lot of people coming in here and they're like, it's like going to Costco when you haven't had any food. You just go crazy. You really got to figure out exactly what you want, and the process will get a whole lot easier. And that way also, if you miss out on something, you might say, you know what? That was a really nice house. That was a really nice area, but it's not really for me because, you know, these are the spots that I want to go into. If you can narrow the playing field, it becomes a whole lot easier, a whole lot manageable. If you're looking at all of Sacramento, if you're looking at a whole wide variety of things, 2 stories, single stories, oh, I don't care. You know, I'm good here, I'm good there. Yeah, it's overwhelming. Just narrow the playing field a little bit and it'll make your life a whole lot easier. What do you think, Corey?
Gosh, that's such good advice. I think that's really good. That and driving around, spending times in the areas that you're considering, going to the stores is huge. I have, there's a lot of first time buyer courses and stuff like that, and classes that like an agent and a lender will pair up on and host a class, like an in-person thing. Um, I think that can sometimes those can be beneficial. I would go into them understanding that you want to reserve the right to pick and choose who you're going to work with, and I would find an agent that feels like they're aligned with you, that feels relatable, that you can feel like you can trust, and really divulge everything that you're looking for. Somebody like Mark and his team, or myself, or whoever you feel like you can kind of pair up with and have kind of that. My first step with a client is like a first phone call. I try not to draw it out too long to overwhelm right at the beginning, but like in 15 to 20 minutes, you give me the bullet points of, we're looking between this price range. Here's our family life, our situation. Here's where our jobs are. Here's what we're looking for. We want the yard. We want this. We want X, Y, Z. I can tell you 5 places you should definitely look at and 5 places you should definitely not look at. And that alone can save you so much more time. So if you did what Mark said first, I think that's the first step. I think doing that first will save you tons of time and headache. And then talking to 1 or 2 agents that you choose. You can definitely go to the courses and read the obviously books and all of that but I'm fearful when a lot of newer agents or inexperienced agents will pair up with a lender and they'll put on this new home buyer course as a way to generate leads to work with these people. And they pressure you to start working with them. Hey, let's go see houses. Let's go see houses. Let's go see houses. But if they've only sold 2 or 3 houses, you kind of got bought into their sales funnel in a way, and they might not be the best service provider for you. And so working with an agent that knows the area intimately, that has lived there, that has been through multiple transactions, knows multiple options that might be a good fit for you, I would think is the next perfect step. And reserving that right to choose who you're going to work with as your choice, and not just kind of getting caught up in kind of a sales funnel for another agent.
Oh, no, 100%. And one last thing on that one, give yourself permission to unplug if you need to. Take a couple weeks off, whatever. It's fine. But don't take a couple weeks off and also start looking at Zillow, because that's just going to get annoying to you. Like, just step away, man. Just step away from it just for a while and just completely, I'm not looking, I'm not doing anything. I just go for walks, hang out with the family, and just give yourself permission to do it. We're not in this crazy market, unless, crazy politics, all that stuff too, whatever. But we're not in a crazy market where tomorrow, all of a sudden, it's going to be like completely different. Oh my God, the world, politics, whatever. But, for the most part, what I'm just seeing is that the market has somewhat been the same. We've had sporadic jumps and everything too, but it's just kind of been that way. It'll probably be the same way if you take a couple weeks off, go up to Tahoe, go to Disneyland, have fun with your family and come back. Probably be kind of the same market that it is right now. So just give yourself that permission to just unplug, man. Just unplug from it. Step away from it, and that's it. And don't feel that like FOMO. The FOMO can really get to you, and just give yourself that permission. I've worked with a lot of clients, I'm sure Corey has too, that we've seen a couple houses, maybe we didn't get the offers and they just disappeared. 6 months later, they see something, they call up, they're like, oh, I unplugged and now I saw something I like. And it was their time and it worked and everything was fine. But don't feel that FOMO. Don't feel that pressure. Don't feel like I need to get one because everyone else has one. Your time will come and it only takes one. That's it. And all of a sudden you forget about all the stuff in the past. Woo! All the stuff in the past, and you get your house and you're a happy camper, and that's just the way it works. Yeah.
One other thing I'll add to that is I've had a lot of clients that have, felt like it's the perfect fit for them. And we put in the offer, and maybe it's a competitive situation, or maybe they didn't put in the offer, and they keep going back to that one house and looking at that. In my experience as an agent helping clients find the right home for them, when in that situation, it's always hard to see them struggling with that. But I will say 80 to 90% of the time, when they find the house that they end up purchasing, it's a much better fit down the road. The one they missed out on, they look back and say, oh, can you imagine if we bought that one and didn't even know this opportunity was here? It ends up being almost a better fit down the road. And when you're going through it as a home buyer, God, it's just an emotional roller coaster of like, oh, I should have done that. I can't believe we lost out on that. We were just the second best offer. If we would have offered 10 grand more, that we could be living there now. And it's painful. But I will say majority of the time, it ends up being better finding the home that they do end up getting.
100%. All right, we got Tatiana. Guys, if you want to, her Instagram always blows up with fun things to do kind of in Sacramento, exercise and good living. You definitely should check her out on Instagram. Love her account too. And Tatiana, thanks for joining us as well too. But I think 2 hours, guys, I think we're done for the evening. I want to thank Corey for coming on the show. I really appreciate it. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it, got value from it. This is just a conversation about the Sacramento area. Now, like I said, we didn't hit all the suburbs like we wanted to at the very beginning of the program, or else it would be 2 days. There's so many of them. But if you have questions about specific suburbs, areas, communities, reach out to Corey. His information's in the description, or myself. We can talk to you a little bit over the phone. New homes, resale, guys, we've seen it, we've done it, we've listed it all in the area, and we love to work with you. Other than that, Corey, any parting words before I hit that exit button?
Just thank you again for having me on, Mark. I always appreciate our lives are so fun, and everybody participating. I really appreciate it. And Jason's by that comment is awesome. Yeah, it's such a good community you've built, and I just appreciate being a part of it. And I'm always here, and I think this goes for Mark. I'm speaking for you and your team and myself. It's a no obligation, no strings attached, easy, lighthearted conversations. We'll give you all the information you need. I'm here anytime you want, and I know Mark and his team are too. So reach out.
And we appreciate you guys taking the time to be a part of this program, giving great questions and comments, because all the people who are watching this after the fact are going to really see this and really understand the idea of what it's like to live in Sacramento. We are done. We're gone. Thank you for tuning in. Friday, I'm going to drop another video, and we will see you next Wednesday. The biggest mistake people make when moving to the Sacramento area is choosing the wrong place to live, the wrong suburb, community, or area. Relocation.